Welcome back to Star Wars Nerds Unite, a discussion and review podcast focused on Star Wars. I'm your host, Tim vanautreve. Joining me, Josh the Tosh, internet famous, Mason.
Not as always anymore, though.
Just this one time.
Just this one time, I'm not as always?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Jennifer vanautreve joining us.
Hi.
Hi, and also Maximus. Hi, Max. Can you say Baby Yoda? Nope. He's being shy, even though he has no reason to be. Okay, so you may hear that toddler in the background, toddling and whining and complaining. We're going to be recording on Chapter 4 of The Mandalorian, titled Sanctuary, today, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, the daughter of Ron Howard.
Yes.
Star of Jurassic World. Another
Star of
Zero Dark 30.
Star of Arrested. Oh, well, she wasn't.
She was not
in Arrested Development. Yeah, she was.
Like the
she wasn't.
rerun?
Tim.
The original
that
run.
That wasn't his real daughter.
Well, I know it wasn't his real daughter, but later his real daughter shows up.
When Netflix picked it up?
Yeah, and
not the original Fox stuff.
Right, and Ron Howard was actually in it.
Well, he's the narrator.
But
Ron
like he
Howard
actually showed
was
up.
in it, and his daughter was in it, but that wasn't his daughter.
His daughter, Rebel.
That's not his real daughter.
I know that.
Oh.
Bryce Dallas Howard was in one episode.
Okay.
Anyways.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was Isla Fisher.
Yeah, I know.
If you hear lots of popping
Stop.
when Jen talks, it's because Max is playing with the pop filter.
Ugh. Sorry.
So what happened in Sanctuary?
Okay, so in this episode, the Mandalorian has escaped with Baby Yoda. They decide to go to this planet in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea what the name of it is. At the very beginning of the episode, it's showing you this planet. It's like a little tiny like fishing village, and there's all these people, like children and women, everybody like out fishing in this field, and they get attacked by these like dog face looking aliens who would just come in, and I don't even know what their purpose is, just to steal their fish. I don't know what they're doing, but
those are like they call them krill, which are a type of shrimp.
Okay. So the Mandalorian and Yoda come to this planet, and they come to like a local little bar, and it's really awkward. Shh, Max, be quiet. They come to this little bar, and he spots this bounty hunter in the bar.
She's not a bounty hunter.
Well, she used to be, didn't she?
No.
Well, okay, whatever she is. He spots this woman, and he's suspicious of her, and they end up getting in a fight, like, immediately. She thinks he's a bounty hunter, so she thinks that he's after her. I don't know what his suspicion was then.
He just knew she was out of place because this was a planet that hasn't had industrialization yet.
So then she tells him her story, and then they're all buddy-buddy. And
you skipped the part I thought for sure you would have picked up on.
What?
What barked at Baby Yoda?
Oh, the little...
It was a loaf cat.
Yeah, from the Rebels show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that. I just didn't think that was a huge part of the plot.
It's a callback. Okay. It's a Dave Filoni special.
Yeah, it was cute.
He did Rebels. Dave Filoni.
I know.
Okay.
You like get mad when I say stupid stuff like that, and then
you get mad
if I don't. And
you
then
described that the plant looked like a fern, which is an earth plant that's green. But I want you to describe the things that add character to the show, not that are just reality.
Okay.
Like loath cats?
Loath cats are huge callback.
Yeah, there was a loaf cat in the bar.
And it barked at Baby Yoda. It was pissed.
Mm-hmm. And Baby Yoda doesn't have his cute little floating carriage anymore. He has to walk everywhere.
He walks super fast. for somebody with the smaller
With
legs.
no
Well,
legs.
he was walking really slow.
He
but-
walks really slow every time they show him walking, though.
Yeah, but then when the Mandalorian's walking next to him, they're keeping up with
Yeah.
each other.
Those raiders are called Clatoonians.
They have like the face of like a bulldog.
Yeah, they do.
And so Mandalorian is like working on a ship in the middle of the night, and these locals from that fishing village come up to him, and they had, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense, but they traveled halfway across their planet to find help, and they spotted this Mandalorian.
Well, they saw his ship.
Oh.
So when he came into the planet, he flew over the village. They saw his ship. They said, here's a guy who might be able to help us because he has a spaceship.
So they tracked him down, and they asked him for help, and they thought for sure he'd be able to help because he had Mandalorian armor on. And at first he's like, no way. And then they said they just came there and from the middle of nowhere. And then he's like, wait a minute, the middle of nowhere? That sounds intriguing. And so he's like,
Well,
wait.
because he
I
was
want to go to there.
Yeah.
he was going to leave the planet
Yeah.
because the Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune, said, this is my hideout. So get out.
Yeah, so he was about to leave, but so he decided to go help them because they're going to the middle of nowhere and maybe it'll be like quiet place to hide or whatever. So for some reason he goes and gets her help as well.
So
I
maybe
don't know
you didn't
why.
read into it what I read into it. I read into it as he was trying to trick her to get her out there so that he could stay there. Like he was trying to move her by taking this job. He figured it'd be a real quick and easy job and he'd take her with him and convince her to stay with these villagers.
Oh, I did not pick
I
up
didn't
on that.
pick up on
Yeah,
that
at
either.
all.
I thought it was just like an awkward way to keep her in the episode.
I thought it was a big ruse.
I thought this episode was extremely awkward. It was very
But
weird.
I think a lot of the awkwardness was intentional, though.
Like when he was in the bar and like this waitress came up, it was like it made me cringe. Like it was the dialogue and her
Really?
acting was so awkward. Yes.
Her acting seemed very natural to me.
It
Yeah, me
seemed
too.
like it wasn't actually a television show. Like
Yeah,
it
it
was,
seemed like it was an actual waitress.
Right.
Yeah.
It made me cringe.
I think that was intentional because they were trying to show that she's like this backwoodsy.
Yeah, she's just from Washington.
Yeah, it was weird. And so this episode was just strange in general. Anyway, so they go to the fishing village to help them, and then they like kind of get the story about what's been going on, and then they go out to like check things out for themselves to see, and they realize that there's like an ATST tracks and everything in the woods from where these raiders have been coming in. So they tell them, the villagers, like, yeah, you left this big detail out. There's no way we can help you. This is impossible. You're going to have to move. And so they're like, there's no way around it. You have to get out of here. Shh. And then the shh, quiet. And then 2 seconds later, the villagers are just like, no, we can't move. We've lived here forever. Our family has, built these pods or whatever. We're not leaving. And they're like,
They didn't build the pod.
that's what they said. They
No.
dug them and it took.
Yeah, they're the first one to put the eggs of these krill in them.
Yeah, whatever. And like they're like, nope, sorry, no way, you can't ever fight this guy or this ATST. It can kill entire villages, blah 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 blah. And they're like, you can teach us. And then like 2 seconds later, they're like, oh yeah, I guess we have like 45 minutes. We can teach you all how to become.
There was a montage.
Yes.
There was a montage,
And
but
it was-
but
This was
clear
the second straight
it was,
montage.
It was one single day.
Nah, it
It
was a
was-
multi-day montage.
Sorry. It was just very, very fast. It looked like over the course of like less than an hour, they trained the village.
That's what montages are.
But it barely showed them even doing anything. It was just super dumb. And anyway, so now they've decided they have a plan. They're going to lure them in the middle of the night when everybody's waiting with guns. And they dig this big trench so that the ATST falls in and is incapacitated. And then they're going to win and everything's going to be perfect. And it works. And everything's fine. And then another awkward thing with this, it gave me like the feeling of that show with the movie The Last Samurai, like with Tom Cruise. It was exactly like that.
That's because they're both playing off a common trope.
And so one of the people in the village was this like widowed woman, and she had like a 10-year-old daughter. And so they were trying to build this relationship between her and the Mandalorian like the whole time. And his helper, whatever her name is, I don't even know if Kara. She's like, wouldn't it just be perfect if you could just stay here and give up that Mandalorian life and take off your helmet and live here with this woman? She clearly loves you, and you've been here for like 2 days. So
they'd been there for weeks at that point.
It skipped ahead then. And it's just really awkward. Like, because they never really actually had a conversation about anything except for she was like, I'll bring you some food and here's some blankets.
She had a number of conversations. Like, she asked what happens if he takes his helmet off. You remember what he said?
Yeah, that was Kara that asked that. She asked him that, and he said, I can't put it back on again. And she was like, so that's it? Why don't you just do it and stay here with this woman? It was just so weird. Anyway, he had decided that he was not going to stay there with the widow, but he was going to leave Yoda there because there's all these children, and it was like a really nice place to grow up, and he was going to let him stay there and grow up with that family. But then another bounty hunter tried to sneak in and kill Baby Yoda, and they saved him, and then he had to take Yoda with him anyway because obviously they'd been found out. So now they're on the move again.
Well, there's a tracker inside of Baby Yoda, and they can track him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's unclear how the tech works, if it's an actual tracker in Baby Yoda or if just somebody needed his DNA. They've never explained it. It's an unexplained thing. But it's the same trackers from the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason they got found out is because word got out that somebody killed an ATST. Because that scene occurred weeks later.
Oh, I did not pick up on that.
They explicitly in the dialogue
it was a really super awkward conversation.
We sure
Kara was like,
rustled up a big ruckus a few weeks back.
Yeah, it was like the most awkward dialogue. It's just like, it looks like it's the next day, but she's like, yeah, you know that mess we got in a few weeks ago. Remember that?
Missed that part.
Remember that fight we had?
They very explicitly laid out the timeline of this episode in the dialogue.
Okay.
Because there was so much time skipping going on.
So you picked up on a lot of the awkwardness in this episode, but I think a lot of it's intentional because the Mandalorian doesn't belong anywhere. Like they established in this episode that the Mandalorian is not an actual Mandalorian by blood.
Yes, I was right.
Yes, you were right.
Remember when I said that he wasn't really a Mandalorian?
Well, and that's why he is kind of awkward around everybody because he doesn't feel like he fits in anywhere. And so a lot of the awkwardness that he had in this episode, I think, is just to further illustrate.
He wasn't the most awkward one. Everybody else was awkward, too. It was just...
He's extremely awkward. And I think that this whole thing is just like a telling of his journey of finding where he belongs, which part of that is his new Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Plus, that's the whole trope they're playing off of. Like,
yeah, and Kara.
Yeah.
That's his new BFF.
Is that her name on the show?
Cara Dune, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even hear them say the name.
They didn't.
Yeah, she's a UFC fighter.
I know who she is. I just didn't ever hear them introduce like a character name in the show.
They don't explicitly, like Queel, the guy that Nick Nolte plays, his name is never said, but he has a name.
I thought they said his name in the first one.
No.
It's not working, buddy. Sorry.
That AT-AT was really scary.
ATST.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it had red eyes.
Red eyes.
And it seemed way more agile than an ATST should be.
I don't know about that.
It seemed pretty agile. When it was
Well,
tiptoeing on the edge.
I was a little surprised that it was able to push over all the trees that it did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's good. This is a good
I
podcast.
actually bumped my phone.
We're doing a good job. But yeah, he did tiptoe some,
Yeah.
but maybe it was just a really good pilot.
Maybe.
They never showed who was driving.
No. It's just one of those dog-faced Clatoonian, or what was it? I said it
Doesn't
earlier.
matter.
Clatoonian, yeah. I wonder if they're like a new species or if they've been established before.
I've never heard of them, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yep. So we also learned that he put his helmet on pretty much when they found him.
He hasn't taken, nobody has seen him without his helmet on since he was a young child.
Helmet off.
Helmet off, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's taking it off.
He takes it off in this episode.
He has to take it off to eat.
Right. But he did it with the window open. He's like, nobody's ever seen me, and then he takes his helmet off and like sets it down. But no one looks at him conveniently.
Yeah.
I know. I thought that was funny. It's like such a big deal, but I thought it was funny when she's like, "When's the last time you took it off?" And he was like,
Yesterday.
She's like, "No, I mean in front of a
But
person."
you just said that he wasn't awkward. That's like a pretty awkward response.
I thought that was funny. I just like he was just like literal about it. Like, yeah, I took it
Right,
off
like he's
yesterday.
kind of awkward.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not saying he's not awkward at all, but there was way more awkwardness than him. Like
It was all awkward.
yes, it was extremely.
It was
awkward.
very
Star Trek.
Yes,
campy.
I was when I was thinking about
Yeah.
it in the beginning of the episode when it was showing that village. I was like, this seems like a Star Trek
Yeah.
episode.
Had the exact same feel of a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It did.
Yeah.
And like, so that's what he's gonna do now. He's just gonna go around to different planets, and it's gonna be completely new every time.
Adventure
Well,
of the week.
John Luke will show up with his number one
Yeah.
and Data.
And we'll have to meet Khan, but not know it's Khan. Maybe Cara Dune is Khan.
Maybe this feeling of Star Trek was to set up that there's going to be a lot of time travel in episode 9.
Maybe.
I
I doubt it.
think we solved it.
I doubt it, but that's a maybe. I can't think of anything else.
Notable?
No, I mean it was a classic teach the villagers how to defend themselves story.
Yeah, it was. I still enjoyed it.
It was all right.
It was the worst of the episodes.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. Mandalorian didn't do as much cool stuff.
I thought he was fine.
Oh,
I mean, he was way more good guy-y in
Yeah,
this
he was.
than he's ever been before.
Yeah, he was way more good guy
definitely
to
bonded
Baby Yoda.
more with Yoda. Like it was like showing him, like talking to him in a joking
Well, because he made his choice.
and he was calling him a womp rat. It was cute.
I really liked the scene where he was drinking the bone broth while they were fighting.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny.
The slurp.
Yeah.
There's a couple funny parts. Yeah,
Well,
What's your rating?
6 went way down for me.
Man, that's like lower than some Rebels episodes.
Oh yeah, this was not good for me.
I guess I'd give it a 6.5. I mean, I very much liked it, but I could have left this episode pretty much, other than what we learned in it
What
about the Mandalorian himself, how he's not actually a Mandalorian.
I already
They
knew
took
that.
him in, and that's part of why he doesn't fit in anywhere. Why he's so awkward. He doesn't fit in because he's not even a Mandalorian, but he's around the Mandalorians. He's like trying to be part of them, but he's not really one of them.
So where that planet that he's having the flashbacks to, and the,
We don't know what it is
Empire.
yet.
Yeah.
so you don't know where his real family's from.
No. I'll give it... I can't remember what I gave the first episode. So this is probably like a 7.05.
7.05. There we have it. Did we get any letters? I
Yeah,
didn't-
we,
Yeah.
Did. We got one today.
I
don't know
have
if
not
that's
looked
the
at my
only
email today. Let me pull that up and turn my volume
I can
down
read
on my
it.
Mac.
You have it?
Yeah, crush it.
Leaks, trailers, Ethan, P.S. Saw. That's the title.
Subject.
The
A lot of
pilot.
flashes in between those words.
Well, it's concise. We know what the topics will be. This is from Drew. SWNU crew. First off, big props to Tim for calling out the pinky. Mason's thumb would have to make up the difference to cover an octave on the piano. So here's something I was thinking about. Claudia Gray, quote, writes a Star Wars book, but what does that mean? There are so many implications and ties to the main plot thread and canon. I'm just trying to wrap my head around what that means. I'm picturing George Lucas giving her the ties, then says, you can write the rest. Anyone know how that works? It can't totally be up to the author. So they've talked about this. Each of the authors has been asked this question a lot. I think at a high level, they're given a premise, but then they're told, you can kind of do whatever you want with it.
They go with a pitch.
Right.
They go in with a pitch.
That's what a premise is.
Well, you were making it sound like the Star Wars people were saying, hey, you, write about this.
I think at a very high level they are. Like they go to Claudia Gray and they say, we want a novel that's like one of your young adult novels where there's a romance.
Yeah. And then she makes a pitch. And then they're
right.
like, oh, yes, do that. Okay.
And the details, she would interact with the story group or other people at Lucasfilm to
make sure it will fit in canon. Yeah.
And she says, I need a race that looks like a bunch of dog faces for my raiders. And they say, oh, use the Clatoonians. They look like this. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff. But there's no mastermind behind the curtain telling the big arc of the story. It's pretty author-driven.
Yeah.
Also, I'm happy to say, I don't know what Ethan's sleeping is, so I'm with Jen on that.
I didn't know. I had to look it up.
What is he talking about?
Somebody sent an email and said that they were like more excited about our new episodes as they were when they saw a new post about Ethan.
Oh, he means the subreddit.
Yes.
Pictures of Ethan sleeping.
Yes.
That nobody knows about what it is, Drew. That's the whole point. Okay. Now I get what that sentence means. However, I suspect it's the same joy I get when the Rock of Roselle gets another one. I'm going to assume that's the same thing. Check out the Rock's Facebook page. The Rock of Roselle OG page, and that's in quotes. It actually made WGN News one time. Oh, how I love that Rock. So, for those who don't know, WGN is a independent TV station in the Chicago area, Chicago, Illinois. So, it's not like a main broadcast. So, in the U.S., we have four main broadcast channels. WGN is not affiliated with any of those. It's kind of a weird... It was started by, like, the Wrigley Company. Anyways... Lastly, I misquoted Mason. It was counter-leak insurgency, which I think has a better ring to it. His soup coolers laid down solid gold with that one.
Oh, did I say that on the podcast?
I don't know.
I had never heard that phrase, and somebody came in and was talking at work and said, like, because somebody said something they shouldn't say, and I was like, I told him to shut his soup cooler. I was like, that is the funniest phrase for a mouth I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Really good.
Yeah.
Hilarious. It's hilarious.
Okay, one more thing. Did you see those tracked motorcycle things in the trailer for the Rise of Skywalker? Those look pretty sweet. I don't think they were actually in the trailer. They've been in numerous of the commercials that have come out recently. And the really cool thing that I don't know if Drew has seen yet, because he doesn't watch a lot of TV, is the rocket stormtroopers sit on the back, and then when they're ready to launch the rocket stormtroopers, like the back, it looks like a snowmobile, the back launches them up in the air. Have you seen that yet?
No.
Oh man, you've missed a lot of cool stuff in the commercials.
Well, I don't have to wait too long until Star Wars is out.
Yeah, it's only like 19 days. P.S. Tim, you are the glue that keeps this show on the tracks. Everyone knows it. I don't know any trains that operate on glue, so your mixed metaphor is useless. PSS, during your hiatus, I took the time to find all the times Jen did an impression of Saw and overlaid them on the scene from The Force Awakens. What scene from The Force Awakens? He's not in The Force Awakens. I posted it to your Facebook page, but I'm not really sure how it works. If you don't see it, let me know. I laughed the whole time I was doing it.
I want to see this. I haven't seen it.
I'll get in contact with him and figure out what the heck he's talking about.
I found all the times Jen did an impression of Saw and overlaid them on the scene from The Force Awakens.
He must mean Rogue One.
I hope.
But I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, I guess we have to check Facebook now.
Oh man, I can't
That's exciting.
Wait.
All right. Well, I don't know that we have much else to talk about. Thanks for sending
Is
the
that
letter
our
in.
only email?
Yeah.
Well, we've been slamming them out.
Yeah.
They've only had like a day to deal with these episodes, so people are going to be real hyped. We even put out an episode on the same day that the episode
The episode
came out.
dropped. It came out today.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you.
What's the deal with every single episode being a different length?
They're not tied to
Yeah,
the
they don't-
old structure of you got to put in 8 commercials and fill 60 minutes. So they make them as long as they feel like they need to make them.
Yeah, they're just trying to tell the story. Boy,
Sorry.
our son's going insane. He hasn't had enough attention from his mom tonight because she spent 5 seconds with her face in a microphone. He's a true joy. Okay, well, that's the podcast for today. We're everywhere on the internet. Like us, review us on iTunes if you haven't. If you are tech support for your mom and dad's iPhones, subscribe to us and give us a rating on their Apple ID. Appreciate that. And that's it. That's our podcast. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Did you hear that? We're doomed.
This podcast is a part of the Benview Network.
You can find this and other podcasts like it at benviewnetwork.com.
Hello.
Hello.